Hello and welcome to another episode of Atomic Vinyl Reviews. Today I'm doing a supplementary video to my unboxing of this Thai recast kit of which is a recast of the Facto Shin Godzilla resin kit. So yeah, I did a pretty in-depth unboxing on this thing, and this video is just a little supplementary video so that we can actually get up close and personal, because I didn't show these things in much detail in that first video. So I just really wanted to show you the level of detail and just basically have all the little bits laid out of what you get in this kit. So right in front of you here, this is everything you get in the box besides a whole bunch of sponge and bubble wrap. So first of all, just jump to our instructions. So you can see these are all the bits laid out. You can see, ignoring these because they're repeats of these bits, but that's all the pieces there. And here we've got all of those pieces laid out in the flesh. So let's get into it. So these are the spines. You can kind of see my hand compared to this thing. You can already see this. This kit is very big, and if you get a nice close look, you can see this whole thing is very, very detailed. Like I said in that unboxing, I would not know that this is a recast on a first glance, because the detailing is very sharp. So I imagine they haven't actually done too many of these castings, because otherwise they would have had a lot softer details. But hopefully, if we can get this in focus. I'm filming this on my phone, by the way, so if the audio quality is a bit off, that's probably why. But here you can kind of get an idea. This is Shin Godzilla's tiny little arms, for an example. And they're as big as your standard sort of 30-centimeter size Godzilla arms would be on a normal big-armed Godzilla. But here, these arms, are going to go on this huge body, so they'll appear tiny. So, with closer inspection of this kit, you do actually find seam lines and little imperfections here and there, so that is still a thing. And like I said in that unboxing, some of the bits don't fit fully, really snugly together. You have to kind of put a little work into getting it to fit. However, it looks very well cast, very professional, and especially, like I was saying, the detailing is amazing. Just check this out, on his belly here. This is a very sharp, rough feeling plastic right here. It feels almost like, a very rough concrete. We have this beautiful detailing in his chest here. Yeah, all the holes for the spines. In order to know which spines go where, you do kind of have a little code here with these and this picture here. So that's something of note. Again, the parts list. Yeah. And something in Japanese, like I showed in the previous video. I don't know what that says. It's probably just the instructions, I guess. Some more pictures of what it's meant to look like when it's done. Get your glossy prints. Very nice. These came in this little plastic bag. I actually use this plastic bag now to hold this hand because, like I said, I did break one of his fingers because I was trying to get him trying to hold the kit together, holding the legs on and the body and the head to give a rough impression for you guys of what this thing would look like when it's put together height-wise. And I was trying to put the arm on and it fell. So that's why that's broken. I have heard that the resin in these bootleg kits tends to be of a lower quality, so it's a bit more brittle. Not a big deal if you're not abusing your kit, I'd say, hopefully. But I'll, let you guys know how that goes when we put this thing together. Let's take a look at the legs. Again, the texture on these is so beautiful. It's really rough, really cool looking. So much attention to detail. Even look down here at the bottom of the feet, it's got this really nice sort of rough skin detail, which is really cool. Claws are nicely done, very sharp, very big, bold legs we got here. Yeah, same on both legs. There you got that nice texture. I was trying to show this in the other video too. You do have the licensing info stamped in here. This is a bootleg though, so, you know, it's just been recast of the original one. So that licensing isn't really valid anymore. Here we have the head. The head's a little odd because, it's got the top bit's like very thin here, and I feel like this is going to be where a lot of the sculpting work might have to happen, because this little jaw bit here kind of still feels like, even when you put this in, it's a little hard to show you guys because this thing doesn't fit in absolutely perfectly. I think I might have to heat this up just to get it to fit in as nicely as we can. But, you know, it's still like you need to clean that edge up quite a bit there, because I'm not sure if this headpiece was cast perfectly around these edges. But not the biggest issue, I'd say. Like, most of the teeth came out looking really nice. Especially this texture on the inside of the mouth is beautiful. Like, I'll just take this out and show you guys. It's this like really sort of like spider webby, sort of fleshy, gnarly texture. It's gonna look really good painted and dry brushed, and, you know, when we get this thing going. The jaws, we have a look here. I really love this piece because you got that same inner mouth texture, which is just very delicate. The actual plastic there, very thin little bits of plastic, and yet it holds all that sharp detail really well. All these teeth came out perfectly on this bottom jaw. The top jaw, the teeth aren't absolutely perfect. Some of them, like I think this one here in the corner is chipped, but that's no big deal. Most of them are still really nice. And we can always fix that stuff up if need be. But yeah, there's a nice jaw there. Hopefully it's fully in focus for you guys. There's a Shin Godzilla head without the top row of teeth. So yeah, I'm really excited to see this thing painted up and built fully. He's got lots of little sharp bits on his head, like the little teeth here, very delicate bits. He has some of those little spikes that he had in some of the concept art, like on top of his head, like the excess little teeth just growing out of the top of his head. It's really weird. Beautifully done. We'll just show you guys kind of how we'd fit together. There we go. And yeah, the massive tail chunks. So I'm not sure how the scale is coming up on the video. I mean, he's not like, you know, gigantic X plus scale, big, or like, you know, those 1/4 scale NECA figures, like the Gypsy Dangers one that I have. They're still bigger than this guy, but for a Godzilla figure, like if you're used to the 30 centimeter X plus line, for example, if that's like your definition of a big figure, this guy is like maybe a third taller than that. Not to mention that Shin Godzilla in particular, most of his mass tends to be in the tail region. So when this thing is put together in full, the tail is going to be a spectacle to behold. So I'll just kind of piece this together for you guys. Alright, so I just loosely pieced this guy together just on the bedspread here. Just showing you this guy in full. It's just kind of balance his leg up here. Try and give you guys a really nice idea of what this thing's going to look like when he's put together. So, kind of see him there. Already, especially in this lighting, that texture all over his body is done beautifully. Especially around the lower body and the legs. I love that rough texture. Coming up, there's how his arms sort of plug in. Got his chest there with that like sort of sharp little point at the tip. This really cool fleshy texture at the bottom of his neck. Like if we join his head up just a bit better. Sorry about the camera sort of waving around. It's hard to do this with one hand, but matches up really nicely. There's his face, bits of his jaw hanging around there. Really cool. And like I said, here's the massive tail. So it just goes on and on. So 1, 2, 3, 4 bits of tail. Now, let's bring a ruler in here, because I want to kind of show you guys how tall this guy is. So here we've got a 30 centimeter ruler. So that's the standard height of the taller 30 centimeter line X Plus figures, is the height of that ruler there. This guy is like a little bit extra, but if you add on the tail, it's quite a big sight there, especially like this chunk right here. So he's probably, yeah, about almost, yeah, 30 centimeters. He goes back that way. Luckily, the tail actually turns pretty much standing straight up, which is pretty good, because if you're worried about shelf space, that would help a lot. His tail just basically bends right the way up, so he would take more space vertically than he would horizontally. But yeah, let's get in real close and have a look at this tail. So they captured this texture really well. Got this really interesting, sort of very unique tail on Shin Godzilla, where he has these very bony sort of spines coming at the back here. Especially this, whoops, this part here. And this piece came out really nicely, so hopefully I can show you this. So here you see the bony, gnarly end of his tail with that face there. Very delicate sort of detailing in this. So look at that. So you can kind of see, like, he's got his main sort of bony tail spines, and they kind of like curl around this way. And this is true like on all the accurate figures. And then you got like the secondary sort of new one that just comes out of nothing out of here, which kind of leads you to believe that indeed Shin Godzilla is sort of like splitting into another entity at his tail, or something really weird is going on. So that's a feature I really love about this design. It just adds so much mystery to this character. So this bit, the very well sculpted. And again, you can tell this stuff is hand sculpted by this guy, the sculptor who made this, and but it's done so well that, you know, you definitely, it's got the hand sculpted feel when you come up really close, but you really can't tell that it's you know, not like the CGI model or something like that, because it's so accurately done and such attention to detail. I mean, especially looking at these sort of folds in here, they come off very naturalistic. Very well done. Now there are, like I was saying, some seam lines. Some of the bits don't fit in quite perfectly, so we'll try and show that off to you. I still stand by what I said in the first video, that I don't see this as a deal breaker for getting this kit. I mean, like, you know, I can't even find one of these kits that I could buy, like an official one. And even if I did, even if it was at the price that this thing was new, which I doubt it will be, it'll probably be more in the like 600 at best to like 1,000 probably. Who knows, really? It depends on the seller. But you know, at those prices, like for this thing, just for like a couple of, like, this thing costs around 100 US plus quite a bit of shipping. I bought it in Australian currency, so it was a bit more, but you know, this thing costs, even with the shipping, about the price of like a cheaper 30 centimeter X Plus figure. I don't keep bringing up X Plus, like, there are more Godzilla figures out there, but they're like the most common, I think, like high-end Godzilla collectible that most people really get into. That's why I use them as a reference, because this thing absolutely has at least the amount of detail that a good X Plus figure would, if not a lot more. I'd definitely argue a lot more, so really impressed by this thing. But yeah, again, there are some defects, like, you know, I'm kind of a little bit worried that indeed a little bit of this around his, how would you say this, around the base of his face, this edge, that there might have been a little bit more matter there initially. And this eye looks a little odd. Like, it's not perfectly round, it looks a little warped or something. I I think maybe with paintwork it would look normal, or I don't know. It's just a little bit odd. Not sure why. That might just be how it is. Like, because in some of the photos I've seen, it's hard to tell because again they're painted, and this isn't like super off or anything. I don't know. But let's get into some of these sort of little defects or some areas that aren't perfect. Like you can see on the foot here, there's that seam line runs all the way up the leg here. But there are little seam line areas like this on some parts that aren't really perfect. It's a little raised on this side. I can fix this with some 2-part epoxy putty. Sculpt that back in to just get that working right. So it'll be pretty easy fix. This piece is a little tricky to get to fit flush because if I get it to lock in, sometimes this bottom bit kind of sticks out from under this, and not too bad, but I don't know, hard to show it. But this bit kind of like sticks out a little bit. When this bit seems to be fitting in as snugly as it can. That's another little thing. And what else? I've seen down just the normal little bits, like down some of these little bony spines, you need to cut out the excess material. Like you can see there between those little bits, there's a bit of that I forget the technical term for it, but just the material. Hold on. Just in there. I've started to clean these up a little bit. Again, that's normal for these kits, but it's something to bear in mind. You can see there's, seam line there. No big deal, really. I mean, all figures tend to have seam lines. There's a bit that needs to be cleaned up and cut out a little bit more. And when I got the fins, if it would focus, there we go. When I got these fins, a little bit of sponge got stuck to them. You can see a little bit of sponge on this fin here. It's near the base of it. And I'm not sure why that is. It might have just gotten heated up at some point and the sponge kind of melted onto it. It's going to be easy to clean off because it's just sponge. You just kind of scrape it off lightly and it'll come off. But it's just something to note. What else can I say is a negative about this thing? I mean, there's a brittle plastic would be one thing. Like the little bit came off here, off the hand. But again, that was a very thin piece of resin. And for the majority of this kit, it's made of a very thick, really hardy material. So, not like a perfect resin kit. Granted, this is the first one I've had. And just for you guys who are new to resin kit, resin just literally means it's made of solid plastic, basically. They just pour in a resin, which is a liquid plastic, into a mold, and it comes out as a solid plastic. So that's sort of the difference between vinyl. I'm not sure what type of resin this is. It could be some sort of, I don't know, PVC or... No, PVC is vinyl. So this is probably not PVC. This could be like polyester resin or something like that. But vinyl kits are made of like a soft, malleable plastic that if you heat up, it tends to get really floppy very easily and is usually hollow. You can also see a little seam line down his body here, by the way, as another topic. But I just wanted to show off some of this detailing to you guys while I'm talking about this, because it is really cool. But yeah, so resin kits are basically just solid plastic kits made of like a hard, more brittle type of plastic. This is surprisingly lighter than I expected, a resin kit, because I have some one or two figures that are like fully resin figures, and they're a little bit heavier. Also very brittle though, but this feels like for the size, it feels kind of light. I mean, it's still heavy, but in particular this piece, for some reason, feels heavier than it looks after feeling the rest of the kit. I don't know why. For some reason, this bit's a little heavier, say, than some of the other bits. I don't know. it feels denser. So this might be made of a different resin for some weird reason, but it looks identical, and it feels identical in just texture and everything. It's just the weight of it is a tiny bit heavier. But this almost feels like it could be hollow. I mean, it's not. I don't think it is. But it is still a hefty piece of material. Okay, now I'm rambling. Anyway, so I better conclude the video here and just say, so what I'm going to be doing now is I'm going to clean these bits up, both like by washing them and by cleaning off any of the little excess bits of material that might need to be cleaned out. Most of these bits had some like paper thin bits of plastic that were just in between these little spines here, and I already cleaned those out, and there are some, all these little bits on these spines that I'm gonna have to cut off, and prepare them for putting together. And then we're gonna do the typical process, which I've looked up on how to make these figures, which involves drilling out holes for little metal pins to be able to hold together the big pieces well, and then using some like epoxy glue or something like that to really get it in there, and then we'll fill up the gaps and do any sculpting that we need to, and we'll get to priming and all that. So I'll try and do like a brief videos on the progress of this, and I'll definitely show you guys more of this kit once we get it going. But I just wanted to make this video because even the official kit, there's so little info about it, and like apart from like one other guy who just showed like his finished kit, not even showing it really in scale next to anything, which is kind of annoying. That I couldn't find any other info about this stuff apart from a couple of photos on like Instagram and Facebook here and there. But yeah, so I thought you guys might be interested in this. Be sure to like, subscribe, and all that if you're interested. And yeah, thanks for watching. May all your vinyl be irradiated vinyl. Over and out.